thank you for clicking in this Champions League video. But before we get to it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to FC Wonder Kid on YouTube. Go bold in the comment section with your predictions. Champions League predictions, that's our first topic here on episode 105. So put down below your predictions for the UEFA Champions League, because the semifinals didn't disappoint, Bretson, right?
No, not at all. And it's just leg one, so it's just beginning. We know the true fun always happens in leg two. But with the away goals, right, being kind of wiped away, it makes things extra interesting here. And I don't have many changes here, Alex. I don't have many changes. And I think we need to start with kind of maybe an open and shut one before we talk about Manchester City. But Inter beat AC Milan 2-0, right?
Oh.
And do you see any remontada? Do you see any comeback? Do you see anything on the horizon for Milan that speaks to them overcoming the odds here? Because I'll be very straightforward with you. I don't see it happening. First off, Rafa Leao did not lose that first leg for them. Him not being there did not lose that first leg for them. It was concentration. It was the moment was too big for the Rossoneri at that moment, and Inter just pounced, man. And momentum is everything when it comes to the end of the season. And I was just absolutely shocked at Milan's first leg performance. I mean, were you not?
I completely agree, but I disagree with the point that Rafael Leao was not like the difference, because this AC Milan team with no Rafael Leao has no party 100%, okay? They lost to Spezia in the league, and Champions League spots are now in risk in the league, and they lose 2-0 to Inter. They need Rafa Leao desperately, one of the best wingers in the world. But about the Inter game, I want to say Inter's recruitment is outstanding, just like Napoli this last summer. Inter got Onana on a free. Inter got Zeku for very cheap prices, Mkhitaryan for very cheap, Di Marco for very cheap. Players are absolutely crucial in this Champions League campaign. Onana can be said as the best African goalkeeper this season. He's got 7 clean sheets in the Champions League. I think he's the first ever Inter goalkeeper to do so. So that is levels. Don't forget that Julius Cesar was at Inter. Levels 2 with Mourinho. Yeah. But I wanted to give that shout first.
No, absolutely, and I think if we rewind, not even 6 months ago, most people would just call Inter in the transfer market cheap and unambitious, and the fact that there is a ownership group that they want out of there because they're never going to spend money ever again, right? Well, it turns out that they hit on every one, as you just mentioned, of their bargains, of their free transfers, of whatever they had to do to become relevant. But I mentioned momentum is everything here, okay? And I do agree. I just don't agree it was everything that Rafa Leao missed. And I guess if you don't have a strong offense, then it all comes down to your defense. And frankly, Inter they were the better team, the more incisive team. But listen, momentum is everything. And Inter have now won 7 Serie A wins in a row. They've got wins over Roma. They've got wins over Juve. They've got wins over Lazio. Now they've got a win over AC Milan. And Lukaku just scored 2 against Sassuolo at the exact same time that AC Milan were walking over to the Curva Sud, which you never necessarily want to do, the ultras of the Rossoneri. And they actually had to basically have a conversation with them because they were pissed off. The supporters at Milan are pissed off because it feels like they're pissing their season away, not just for this in the semifinals with their toes potentially in the Champions League final, but also in Champions League for next season.
True.
So AC Milan they're going to have to put up or shut up because it's a very big yikes moment. And both losses just weren't because Rafa Leao was missing, okay? But I get it, because when you go from Rafa Leao, you're going to Alexis Salamakers, who's a great player, but he's no Rafa Leao.
And
Rafa Leao has
Giroud needs those balls. Like Rafa Leao opens it.
Lautaro is just so on point right now. And Lukaku is scoring goals, and Onana is back to his best self. It's just, there's a lot of good things that are going for Inter. Even though it wasn't going that way all season, Inter Milan will be in the Champions League final. There you go.
That's a bold statement. I still believe in Rafael. Please play that game and make it happen and become one of the best wingers in the world. No doubt that I think he is. But I want to say, last mention on my end, Inter have a special squad with Onana, Bastoni, Barella, Mkhitaryan going bold at the age that he is, and Dzeko. Yeah. Dzeko, that is my special mention of Inter. Edin Dzeko must be mentioned as one of the most underrated strikers in the last decade. Being at Wolfsburg, being at Man City, winning titles at both, going to Roma, and now, crucial for the Inter too, what a career for Edin Dzeko. Captain too at Bosnia, and he has 64 goals for his country. For his country. What a legend. Bosnian legend. Wanted to mention a special thing with him. Wanted to say that.
I still remember Dzeko and, you know, the transformation that was Manchester City, right? Back in in that light blue.
True.
Back in the day, and Dzeko is still going. And yeah, Dzeko, you could put Giroud in that underrated 11. Mm-hmm. Heck, I know we're going to be talking about Gundogan for a long period of time as well. But my goodness, I mean, he turned it back with that one. And Inter Milan, they're just dangerous. They're just dangerous right now.
It's true. It's true.
And I love it. I love it.
We can connect here, like Dzeko being a Wolfsburg kind of legend with a player that left Wolfsburg to Man City. And since then, it's history. One of the greatest to play this game in the Premier League. It's Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne in terms of passing, finishing, decision-making. He's one of the greatest players that Guardiola has ever had. And in the Premier League too. There's no match in terms of the composition, in my opinion. De Bruyne is inspiring the next generation and creating history. History for Man City. What a goal Kevin De Bruyne scored against Real Madrid. Yeah. Needed inspiration. Rudiger went bold against Haaland, just like Ruben Dias went bold against Benzema. That needs to be talked more. And Real Madrid at the Etihad will play Alaba, in my opinion, at left back, Militao, and Rudiger too, just to stop Haaland. The scenes are going to be amazing. I'm excited, Preston. I'm excited.
It is. And of course, we couldn't have this second leg approaching without having a little drama on the Real Madrid side, because you have Carlo Ancelotti throwing Eduardo Camavinga, one of the stars of the first leg, into a rough and tumble game against Getafe and almost getting injured to the point where you had 48 hours of Real Madrid fans' Twitter just blowing up, worried about whether or not Camavinga was going to play, and don't worry, he will play. But when it comes down to it, Eduardo Camavinga had one of the games of his life for them in that first leg, and this is a kid at 20 that unapologetically does. He's very straightforward about it. He does not like left back. He does not like playing fullback. Okay, and yet he goes in there. He does that full field run, passes it off to Vinny, and Vinny, taking a page, not really because De Bruyne hadn't scored the goal yet, but Vinny with a goal of his own, a thunderous shot from outside the box, but that goal was not happening if it weren't for Camavinga. And my goodness, at 20, I love everything about what Camavinga's doing. When he is given a shot for them, he always tends to influence the game. And it's going to have to happen again if they're going to do this, because guess who did not necessarily influence the game in that first leg?
Benzema.
And Erling Haaland.
Erling
Haaland.
And Benzema.
Neither of them. Neither of them. It was a midfield. Yeah.
But I like how you're saying about Camavinga, because Camavinga against Man City had the most duels, most chances created, most tackles, he was the most present player. He's going to be one of the best in the world in the next 10 years. Camavinga in midfield. What a game. And you said too, like, Real Madrid fans were massively concerned if Camavinga wasn't going to play the next game at Man City. That shows the importance that he has for Real Madrid at only 20. He's already completed football, winning every trophy possible with the Real Madrid shirts, winning the Copa del Rey against Osasuna. That was bold too. But I gotta say, we talk about Camavinga, and I agree with you, one of the most important players in that game. But Vinicius Junior and Erling Haaland in the Champions League in this next game, they're competing for their Ballon d'Or position, in my opinion. It's Messi against the winner of Real Madrid, Man City, in my opinion. Vini Junior versus Erling Haaland. That is the story, in my opinion. Making history at Man City. He's got 52 goals scored. And if he wins the Champions League, like, that's, I gotta say, he's my favorite to win the Ballon d'Or. For me. For me.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, I'm with you there. I'm with you there. I mean, okay, it feels, I don't know, winter 2022 does seem a little bit far away now. And now that, unfortunately, Lionel Messi is getting booed quite frequently at PSG, Erling Haaland has reset. He has reset the history books, and he has done so in arguably the hardest league on the planet, right? And on top of that, he's got a Champions League scoring record that is just any good forward would wish for that would wish for that scoring record. So when it comes down to it, Erling Haaland, in my mind, believe it or not, even without a Champions League title, okay, deserves at least some of those first place votes. At least some of those first place votes, because what he's doing is getting watered down. What he's doing is getting watered down. I don't care if it's Manchester City, giving him more opportunities and he's got more big chances created. The fact that he has put this many goals away in the Premier League, in the Champions League, to be honest, I really do feel, even if he doesn't win that Champions League final, that he deserves several first place votes.
If Vini Jr. wins it back to back, if Vini Jr. wins the Champions League back to back with Real Madrid, he would get my first. He would get my first vote in the Ballon d'Or. And Erling Haaland too, obviously present. Vini Jr. in his career for Real Madrid, he's got 221 games, 59 goals, and 65 assists. And in all these games, he's won 9 trophies in the meantime. He's 22, and in the next 10 years, this is one of the Galactico legend. This is one of the best Galactico legends in the making. I'm going to say that.
It's pretty impressive. I mean, come on. What is it? 23 goals, 20 assists this season.
Yep.
He's been as consistent can be, and yet for some reason, I don't know, the La Liga, just leaving that behind, just getting that. If not winning La Liga was it, I don't know, man. I'm having trouble with it.
It's not a problem.
Haaland is rewriting record books.
Look,
and he's going to continue to do so. So I just don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see this, or if Haaland is going to just break his own records every year. But my goodness, if that's not good enough to win the Ballon d'Or beyond what Vinny has done, which is impressive, I don't know, man. I mean, record books, that's got to mean something, right?
Vini Jr., in my opinion, is the best winger in the world at the moment. And if he wins the Champions League back to back, I understand Haaland doing greatness, but that would be insane. Vini Jr. this season is making the thought of Mbappe in the future disappear. That's how special he is. And Rodrigo too going bold. That's mad that and Haaland too, like talking to Vini at the end. I would just love to know what they're talking. But let's see. Jude Bellingham going to Real Madrid, joining with Valverde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga. They're going to be dominating with this midfield. Champions League, La Liga, everything. So it's scary times. The future of Real Madrid. Wow.
Yeah, well, come back at me when Jude actually signs. I won't believe it until that ink dries.
I think Man City won't happen, definitely, though. I think Man City, because the father is very against, reports say that Mark Bellingham, the father of Jude Bellingham, is very against the fact that he would go to a Man City type team. So I think Real Madrid, if they're in pole position right now, in terms of greatness, like that fan that filmed Jude Bellingham, you will win a Ballon d'Or if you go to Real Madrid. That fan is the GOAT if it happens, man. Unbelievable.
But there is another team. There is another team within the Premier League that does have the financial capability to sign Jude Bellingham.
Who?
It's just Manchester United. Chelsea too. I mean, let's be honest, Chelsea too. But Manchester United can sign him.
Nah, I don't think you.
sign him.
I think United should be focusing on a Hurricane instead. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it with the Man United song because Erik ten Hag is doing history too. But let me get this straight. So you think in the Etihad, Man City are gonna get it done against Real Madrid?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
And Erling Haaland, so
Manchester-
pole position for the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, yeah, and the funny thing is I think it's going to wind up being an Ilkay Gundogan, because apparently he's on a exit tour. He's on a be careful what you wish for when I'm gone type of situation. But Ilkay Gundogan with those goals he scored, albeit against Everton, but those goals that he scored over the weekend were just absolute pearls. And he's just one of those guys that right now he seems to turn it on when they need it. And I think it's going to be Gundogan's show with Haaland as a supporting cast member. But they're going to get it done. Manchester City will go to the Champions League final against Inter Milan, man.
I gotta believe in Real with Vini. Come on, Vini Jr. Benzema, show up in the Etihad and go bold in Rodrigo. Imagine if Rodrigo gets another clutch goal. Rodrigo that supposedly has a personal trainer that has a ring on his body that follows every single metric in his body health-wise. That is insane. Insane. But tell us down below. Sorry, yeah.
I want to hear below, but just imagine if that happens, right? I mean, Real Madrid will essentially own Manchester City in that essence, right?
Every Premier
If this
League club.
happens once again in the Etihad, if Rodrigo does what he does, or it doesn't even matter if it's Rodrigo. If Real Madrid gets it done at the Etihad, it could ruin Manchester City's progress.
That's true. It could ruin because Pep Guardiola wouldn't be happy. But I still think he would stay.
Again.
I still think he would stay, though.
Fair enough.
Because the project is more than just that. No, it's got to win the Champions League project, but I think he's seeing the longevity potential with Man City too. But people, tell us down below, what is your thoughts in the Champions League? Who's going to win it? Tell us down below. And like I said, don't forget to comment your Champions League prediction and go bold in the comments section.